Did someone really uncover a secret video of Hillary Clinton killing a young child? Or is this just another internet hoax? In the latest of popular conspiracy theories that's blown up on Twitter and YouTube and all sorts of other places is one known as Frazzledrip, or frazzled.rip. Now, the story itself states that there is a video that features Hillary Clinton as well as the wife of Anthony Weiner. And in this video, supposedly, in this what is called a snuff film, Huma Abedin, who is Anthony Weiner's wife, and Hillary Clinton supposedly rape a young child, cut her face off as they fillet her face, then wear her face as a mask on their own faces, and also drink blood and kill the child as an act of satanic ritual sacrifice. Now, the majority of people hearing this probably think, well, clearly this is something that is made up. This isn't real. On the internet, we have all sorts of stories about all sorts of crazy things, and we know that most of them are not real. Oftentimes, especially when the dark web is involved, because it just tends to make things a bit more mysterious and hard to find. But there are many people who believe in this conspiracy. If you look up the hashtag frazzledrip on Twitter, you'll find a lot of tweets coming out even recently on this subject. So there are people still promoting the idea that there really is this secret tape to be uncovered of Hillary Clinton ritually sacrificing a child. So let's look into this idea. Let's look into this theory, this proposal that this video exists, ask where it came from, and then try to evaluate the facts and ask, is there any evidence that this video actually exists? Well, the earliest references that I could come across on this video were from the month of April of 2018. And the earliest reference I could find on any kind of well-known website is yournewswire.com, which showed up April 15th of 2018. There was a major story on this topic, which was released, giving some details about this supposed video, as well as a screenshot, which supposedly showed part of the video. Now, as I looked on Twitter and I looked back to find the hashtag, it looked like April 14th was the earliest that I could find the hashtag being used and people discussing this topic on Twitter. So it didn't start on yournewswire.com, but it appears that that did popularize this story, though it looks like even earlier in April there were posts on a Facebook group about this video supposedly existing, or at least there's a screenshot of it, though I can't find it on Facebook itself, so I don't know if that's really where it comes from. But that goes back to the beginning of April of 2018. So it looks like that's the beginning of our conspiracy. So what is the theory that's promulgated there? I think we can look at the Your Newswire article to get some of the basics, because these are the facts that do end up showing up in all of the early tweets and that are still repeated by some people today. So this article states that there was a video codenamed Frazzledrip that's been circulating on the dark web since Monday of that week. According to reliable sources, of course, there are no actual references to who the sources are, who have viewed the material and confirmed the content is worse than any nightmare. The people who are coming back from viewing this tape are just not the same. Many people are unable to watch the video due to the horrific nature of the content, according to sources familiar with the tape. Now, here's where they have the summary of what supposedly happens in this video. They say this: in the video, they take a little girl and they fillet her face, according to reports, and then they take turns wearing the little girl's face like a mask. It is believed that they were terrorizing the young girl, deliberately causing the child's body to release adrenochrome into her bloodstream before bleeding her out and drinking the blood during a satanic ritual sacrifice. And supposedly this was found on Anthony Weiner's laptop in a folder called Life Insurance. And throughout this article, there are several references to reliable sources. And of course, there are no actual sources referenced, and there's nowhere that people can actually check to see if this video really exists. Now, the reason that people are going to give as to why no resources or evidence is actually there is because it would be illegal to own something that is child pornography, so therefore nobody wants to share any aspect of it or prove that it's real, because they themselves could get in trouble just for having it. Now, after doing some looking around on various comments and tweets about this film, there are a number of people who claim to have seen it or seen parts of it, but of course all of those people refuse to ever give a sound clip or a video clip or even a still image from the video to actually demonstrate that it exists at all. All they have is just claims that they've seen it and that it is pretty horrific and no one else should go look for it or watch it. So what we have here is no evidence whatsoever. But what I want to ask now is there anything that we can actually look at or test? Is there any positive evidence that people have put forward to try to show that this thing does exist? Well, there really isn't much because, as I said, the majority of people simply make claims with no evidence to back up something so insane. But there is one piece of evidence that was released, and this is on a screenshot of a post that someone made on April 4th. This is the earliest evidence I could find of anyone believing in this idea. And what they have is a picture that's blurry and distorted of someone in some kind of a mask, and the claim is that this person in the mask is indeed Anthony Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin. But, of course, they're wearing a mask, so it's not clear that this is indeed who is in the mask, and it's also not clear exactly what is even happening in this scene or in this image because it's, in fact, so distorted. But once you look at the image and try to figure out exactly what is there, we can see that it is a woman who appears to be of Indian descent, and she's wearing a party mask and she has a finger over her lips. Now, this just so happens to look exactly like an image that was used in an advertisement for an Indian supper club in Washington, D.C., which is named Hush Supper Club. So that's why she's hiding her eyes with a mask and she has a finger over her mouth. So we have an image of a woman standing up making this face, and it's pretty clearly exactly the same image. Now, this image goes back much farther than this supposed clip of a video. A website called Lead Stories did a story on this where they tried to find the image that this came from, and the earliest image they could find, the earliest copy of this image of the woman doing this, is from at least 8 years ago. So the image could indeed actually be older than that. So it's pretty clear that there is no connection between that image and this supposed video that exists. So the one supposed positive piece of evidence has been discredited. So I think it's pretty safe to say that in all likelihood, this story was simply made up. Now, what we see here appears to be a combination of two kinds of conspiracy theories or stories that have gone around the internet, and even before the internet for a long time, that it's kind of inevitable that those things would be combined into one. And one of those is the notion that the elites of our world are engaged in ritual abuse and ritual sacrifice and are part of satanic cults. That goes back to the 1980s, with what was called the Satanic Panic, where people start worrying that there is this elite group of Satanists that's controlling the world, going back to certain books, publications that were released that were later proved to be fraudulent. A book called Michelle Remembers, for example, as well as the statements of a Christian comedian named Mike Warnke, which were later disproven, where he claimed to have been the head of the satanic cult and all sorts of other things. But since that time, there have been fears about satanic ritual abuse. And so this ties into Pedogate and all sorts of other ideas today that our leaders are involved in these types of things. But since those rumors have started, there's really never been any positive evidence found. There have been accounts from individuals claiming that these things have happened to them, but no strong, clear evidence of these satanic rituals has ever been demonstrated at all. And that's not with lack of searching either. And the second aspect of conspiracy that has become popular on the internet is just this notion of terrifying videos that are hidden somewhere in the web. And on these supposed terrifying videos, there are terrible impacts upon those who are viewing them that affect them and hurt them for the rest of their life. This goes back to some of the earlier creepypastas, like the idea that there was an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where Squidward committed suicide. And this notion of hidden videos has been combined with the deep web, and it has often been claimed that the deep web was a place for all of these secret snuff films, as well as incidences of sacrifice and red rooms and all of these other things that simply have not been demonstrated to have been true in the slightest. Now, that's not to say that there isn't horrific material on the deep web. There have been some pretty awful instances of child pornography that have been found, but the more extreme claims of ritual abuse, ritual sacrifice, snuff films have simply never been proven. So I think we can pretty clearly and easily dismiss this as a mere internet hoax. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.